back live in the studios here in the opulent studios of WLCN.
Opulent, yeah.
We were discussing with Jean Lebegue the codes and enforcement thereof. Is there one particular example, John, that's been a joiner to you in trying to get resolved in your year that you've been here, or what? Is there anything in particular that's been a bug to you?
I think the one thing that reoccurs the most often is the accumulation of garbage on a property. I mean, whether they throw the garbage bags out in the backyard or accumulate them in garages. I think what you see is in a lot of cases it's tenants, but then there's also a good number of property owners don't have garbage service. So what they'll do is they'll accumulate sometimes 10, 15, and we've actually found 20 and 30 bags of garbage in garages and in other areas of a property that they don't get rid of. And then all of a sudden they'll decide that they'll either pay the disposal company to come pick it up, or they'll take it somewhere and dispose of it.
Yeah.
And we
in a ditch.
In a ditch, or quite frankly, I always wonder. That's always a question I have: is where does this stuff go?
Yeah, right.
We'll send them a letter to get rid of it, and it disappears. But I'm just curious as to where.
Yeah.
Judy's daughter has a saying for that.
Yep.
You can't fix stupid.
Beauty fades, but stupid's forever,
Well,
yeah,
and on that point, the other day I went down and took my plastics and my newspapers and so forth down there across from Watham Park on the city garage site there. And people dropped trash and stuff all around those dumpsters. And I said, doggone lazy, they won't stoop down, pick them up, and put them away.
Yeah.
You've got that wonderful convenience for them, and it boggles your mind.
Yeah, well, it does, and I mean, I think sometimes it's a lack of conscience, a lack of thought.
Lack of thought.
I mean, I have to say it. I mean, I have a 15-year-old son who drives me absolutely nuts. He'll come into a kitchen, and every cabinet will be open, everything will be on the counter, and he'll just walk away. It's like, what are you doing? I swear to God, it takes a second to close a cabinet door. Or, you go into the bathroom after he takes a shower and there's a trail. It's like, what on earth? It's just...
We're all laughing at you because we've all had 15-year-olds.
I'm telling you.
Well, John, if there's any hope at all, they do grow up. This morning I got an email from one of my granddaughters, and I responded to her, and she says, I'm growing up finally. And I thought, amen for that. So there's hope for you. Go right ahead, John. You were going to talk in terms of the enforcement, and let's say that I'm always negligent. And I always trash around my yard and so forth, and Judith complains, and I tell you to hang it on your nose, when you come to tell me about it. How do you handle a guy like me? But my wife's been one to know about that for 61 years. Come to think about it.
I think, in a lot of cases, I do get those instances where, whether they just have a confrontational attitude or they'll just say, well, it's my property, I'll do with it what I want. And I'll say that's all well and good. But if you want to live in a social setting, then you have to live by the rules of such social setting. And if you're living in a community, you have to live.
I keep telling you that, Busby.
You have to live by that. And if they don't want to work in that vein, then I say, well, then you will have no option to take it to the next step. We'll go before the judge, and you can stand at the judge and show the same attitude and disrespect. And you know what? I don't think it's going to go
That's
far.
not a good idea.
It's not going to go very far.
Yeah, no.
Wouldn't your garage, if it were full of garbage, get a little odoriferous by August?
And not only that, it smells.
Besides.
It does. And quite frankly, not just the smell, but start thinking of all the animals that are getting in there. In most garages, it's not hard for animals, rodents, and squirrels, and raccoons, and any other critter to find their way in there. And from that standpoint, that's why the code deals with not just the exterior, but the interior properties. I mean, it's something that getting on the interior is a little more troublesome if they don't let you in, but it can be accomplished, whether through a court system or whatever. But that's, it's a challenge nonetheless. But
how has technology impacted your office, John, as regards the operation of the office, and has it made your job a lot easier to follow up on things? In general, how have you had much of an impact on that?
Well, the city did a number of years ago purchase a computerized program that you enter things into, and it'll manage it. and things of that nature. And I've always been a big proponent of technology, using it as best I can to make my job easier. When I was up north, in my last position up there, I had both of my inspectors. I had 2 full-time building inspectors that worked for me, and in their case, I had laptops that they took into the field and utilized they'd enter it right on the fly, and then it would automatically download right into the server at the city hall. So everything they did was in real time, so that they didn't have to come back to the office and enter that address and all that information. It was automatically done in the field. And I can see those type of things coming to Lincoln over time. Our resources aren't such that we can make quantum leaps relative to technology, but I think small steps will go a long way in at least keeping track of what's out there. And that's kind of where I'm coming in the new budget year, is to look at maybe tweaks here or there to make things, run a little smoother.
What kind of office staff do you have to do your job here, John?
Well, right now I have a part-time inspector that unfortunately I ran out of hours for until the end of the budget year, but and that individual usually is on board 24 hours a week, 3 days generally speaking. And I also have the mayor's secretary just occupies space in my office, and she helps out as well. But other than that, there really is no staff. I'm virtually the entire department.
Before we went on the air, John, you said that you can really see that down the road, a short way, like 5 years, that there are some good things that are going to happen for our community. Can we peek ahead a little bit? Would you tell us what kinds of things you're hoping for?
Well, one thing that when I came here and I've evaluated what we have in relative to the codes and things of that nature, I spent 3 years prior to leaving Lincolnwood doing a development and zoning code, and it hadn't been updated since 1962. So we're in a very similar situation, that our codes are very old and don't really contain a lot of the modern technology and modern terminology, so to speak, that the development groups are looking for. So from my perspective, let's try to get our codes up to speed so that when someone Googles the city of Lincoln, they're going to see, a modern code. They'll know their expectations will be so much higher if they can look at something and go, well, they have areas where I can put this type of use, or it's going to be clearly defined. The expectations will be clearly defined relative to landscaping and design, because I want to introduce those as well. So when buildings are built, that they are built to such a standard that they're just not throwing something up. I want something that's going to add value to the area in which it's built.
Well, your office can have a real impact then on to grow or not to grow in this community.
I've often seen it that way. I've been involved in economic development, community development, in virtually every position I've been in. I'm generally the first person that they're going to call and talk to. They want to know, is this use allowed in that district, or what are the setbacks? What are some of the parameters in which you want to see things built? And here, in a lot of aspects, I saw the city of Lincoln as a blank canvas in some regards. For me, it was perfect. It was exactly the kind of situation I was looking for, because I could really have a hand in changing the future of this city. And that's something that I really wanted to do. Everywhere I've been, I like to leave a legacy behind, that I could drive through there and I've seen, I was responsible for getting that business there, or improving this one, or in circumstance of landscaping. I'm a huge proponent of trees and landscaping on commercial properties. So when someone drives down Woodlawn, they're not going to just see a barren wasteland of signs and concrete. I want to see trees. I want to see, landscaping around these buildings.
And the nice part about it, Judith and Jim, is this man's young enough that he will get to see the fruits of his labors. We'll be out of here, hopefully not too soon. We appreciate very much the appearance today of John Lebegue, our... am I correct on that, John?
Lebegue.
Lebegue. Thank you very much, sir. French ought to be able to know that, hadn't I? In any event, John has decided to share his time with us this morning at our invitation. We appreciate your time, and we appreciate the efforts you're doing on behalf of our community. We wish you well. You know, we've had a tough winter. We always like to close with some saying of some sort that we dig up. And the one I found for today is, after this tough winter, many are cold, but few are frozen.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry about that, folks. Bye-bye. Thank you for Viewpoint.